What's up, everyone? In this video, we're going to learn about optimal positioning by studying Paul Coll. He does a fantastic job with setting himself up in appropriate positions to hit quality shots, and he gives himself options by positioning effectively. So what we're going to look at is one aspect of positioning, and it's one that I find people struggling with pretty often, and that's the idea of spacing. So here's what you can expect from this video. We're going to cover why you and many others, myself included many times in my life, get too close to the ball. And that in turn either ruins our accuracy, we're too tight, we're cramped, we're catching the side wall, we're hitting into the middle of the court, it's too much wrist, a whole bunch of things happen when we get too close to the ball. So in this video, we're going to learn exactly why that happens. We're going to go to the root cause, and then we're going to understand what you can do to make appropriate changes when it comes to your spacing to be able to execute with options and quality consistently. So here is the meat and potatoes. What's required to make space? I mentioned this phrase, root cause, and that's what we have to consider. So let's give you some examples. If you are returning the serve, but you find that you're getting too close to the ball because you missed the volley, it bounces in the back, and then you're too close. What options do you have? Is this little jammed flick, maybe a boast, you try to get it straight, doesn't go anywhere, your racket face, you don't know where the angle is, you don't have control over it, you don't have enough power to get the ball to the front wall from a boast. A whole bunch of things happen. Sure, all those things happen, but what caused them to happen? What was your position when you were returning the serve? Were you watching the ball? Were you anticipating correctly? Did you wait for your opponent to serve before you started moving? A whole bunch of things take place that lead to the spacing challenge. The same thing applies to an overhit three-wall boast. Are you seeing a boast and then directly running into the front court? If you put your opponent under pressure, are you anticipating the boast and then moving before they've even hit the ball and seeing whether it's a good quality boast or an overhit boast and thus cramping yourself? So it begins from the root cause again about position on the tee. The obvious thing that you can do to create more space is to stay light on your feet. That goes without needing to be said, but just stay light on your feet. Most people, their weight's too far back. If they're on their heels, they're not going to be able to move effectively. If you're not in an athletic position and you're totally upright, you're not going to be able to move effectively. So that is a very simple fix. Point number 3 that you see on your screen, watch the ball and build your awareness. So there are two separate skills. Obviously, the first one is watching the ball. This sounds so simple, and it is simple, but most people don't do it for several reasons. So watch the ball the entire time. You want to be tracking it like a hawk, like a bird of prey tracking its prey. Now, the second thing is about building awareness through options and training. So people ask, how do you build awareness? Awareness comes in, you can train it in many different ways. Ton of detail, I can't go into all of it obviously in this video. If you're interested, wait till the end. I'll talk about an opportunity for us to work together. But to build your awareness, one way that's simple to explain is to practice condition games or drills with options. So an example might be a front-back game, for instance. So person at the front of the court always stays in the front half of the court and they can hit a straight drive or a cross-court drive. The person in the back always stays in the back half of the court. Now when I say stays in the back or the front, you're not just standing right at the front or right at the back, you're still getting close to the tee. And the person in the back can hit a boast or a straight drop. Now, you have to watch the opponent, you have to watch the ball, you have to assess the position, the amount of pressure, the quality of your shot, your opponent's hitting abilities. You have to put all of that together to build your awareness. So that's one example of a drill. Another example could be you're doing something like a boast drive, except you put an option in. This one, the option I'm describing right now, is going to be extremely challenging, so don't attempt this unless you're a very, very skilled player and you're very fit. But if you're doing a boast drive, the person in the front of the court can have an option not just for the drive, but say a straight drop. Now the person in the back has to cover that straight drop or the drive. And then from the back, they could hit the boast obviously, or have an option for a straight drive as well. So now it's like totally dynamic and fluid, but you're having to really, really anticipate and raise your awareness based on the quality of your shot and all those other things I just mentioned. There are many other drills. Get creative. You can make up different things on the fly to train your awareness based on some of the deficits or opportunities in your game. And if you want to understand a model of that, if you haven't already watched the video, I'm going to link to a video I created that shows you how to think about your game holistically. Point number 4, we must develop appropriate movement patterns. And what I mean by this is that most people have a tendency to cheat or poach too much on the tee, and then they don't time their split step properly and they overcommit to the shot. So let's say you've had a reasonably tight straight drive into the back left corner. A lot of people start poaching way too much to volley that ball on the left side, or they poach way too much into the front right, anticipating a weak boast. But we have to hold our movement a little bit more, especially as you move higher in levels, because players have more and more options. By not holding your movement and by over poaching or over committing, that's when we end up getting crowded on the ball, because then we don't know what's happening. What if the player hits a really loose ball and you've already started walking in to volley it, and suddenly the ball's coming at your body now? So that's an example of root cause diagnosis. The 5th point, something that a lot of people miss, is we have this tendency to want to play super high quality squash, balls glued to the sidewall, etc. But sometimes it's actually good to practice with junk. So if someone hits something through the middle of the court, that's fantastic, because it forces you to stay light on your feet. It forces you to be watching the ball. It forces you to consciously look to maneuver your body. And obviously there are certain times when you can't maneuver your body out of the way, and that's what point 6 is, where you want to gradually, depending on your current level, you want to start creating this ability to adapt dynamically. And what I mean by that is play the ball sometimes with an unconventional technique. So we're not always going to be able to line up. Imagine I'm facing you and you're where the side wall is. We're not always going to be able to line up in this perfect position. There might be times where I'm facing the front wall and I have to try to do something with my wrist and my forearm to redirect the ball or reset the ball. So that's a skill, again, depending on your current starting point, that it's important to gradually begin developing. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you through one rally, and you're going to see how Paul Coll creates space, and then I'm going to analyze and break down the specifics of what he's doing so you can leverage his example for yourself. So watch this rally first. It's like 10 seconds long maybe. So again, guys are setting up. Asal plays a good boast. Coll defends. Asal goes for the nick, and he misses it, and then Coll resets over there. I'll put it on again here. Let's watch this one more time because it's pretty short and quick. Asal's attack sets up for the nick, and Coll makes that adjustment. So I'd encourage you to watch this rally again based on all of the points that we just discussed. See if you can maybe pause the video, make a couple of notes, and assess what Coll actually did to create space. And that's what we're going to look at right now. So you're going to see the first thing that happens right here when Coll plays this lob, and I'm not even talking about the tactics or anything like that. Again, you can reference my video with Coll that I put up recently about this, and I'll put a link to it here. The first thing you see, he's watching the ball. You're going to see his eyes and his neck turn and follow the ball, and then he's backstepping towards the tee. A lot of people make the mistake of turning around and running, or completely sidestepping. What that does is it doesn't allow you to actually cover a cross court effectively, and it's tough to go back in for the boast, especially if you turn around and run. So keeping those two things in mind, let's keep going. And there you see his eyes are still on the ball, neck is turned, and he's backstepping to the tee. Now from here, you're going to see that as Asal gets ready to hit the ball, Coll begins to take his split step. So his timing of his split step is perfect. And this is what I was saying about root cause. And there's the split. And you see him starting to take a little hop in the air. As Asal hits the ball, you see his eyes did not come off the ball. There's the kind of the ball being fuzzy in this paused frame, and Coll, his neck has adjusted to follow it. And then from there, check this out. He immediately recognizes the angle with which, not only has he recognized obviously that Asal's hit a cross-court nick, but he's recognized the angle with which this ball has come off of Asal's racket. And watch what he does here. You see he puts his left foot down first because his brain has processed the angle of this shot, and he's recognized that, hey, this ball's hit the front wall here, it's high, it's going to hit the side wall here, and then it's going to pop out into the middle of the court. And because he's recognized that, you see that his left foot touches the ground first, and he pushes himself across laterally to make space, anticipating the trajectory of the ball, and also putting himself in the optimal position to have options based on the on any shot. Then he can hit a drop, a drive, a kill, a boast, whatever he wants. And you'll see that here. There's that left foot down, and there's the movement across. And then you notice here that as he's taking that little shuffle, his racket gets set while he's moving. His racket's not dangling by his feet. He's not leaving anything to chance. And then he squares off to the side wall. So chest is facing that side wall, again, for options like I mentioned. And then from here, he sets up, and this is great because now he has options, like I said, and he takes advantage of the open space in the court. And he just hits straight into this open space. And depending on the quality of the shot, it could be maybe a winner, or it could put pressure on Asal, or if it's mishit, then Asal likely isn't going to attack from the back unless it's really short. But again, a player of Coll's level isn't likely to hit something that's loose from this sort of a position. And what we see is, because of the quality of his shot here, he forces Asal to really be, fairly stretched out, not insane pressure, but solid pressure that forces Asal to lift the ball and just reset it down the wall. Now let's talk about how you can take this information and apply it to your own game. I'm going to talk about 2 points here. One is this idea of controllable variables, and the other one is around awareness. So controllable variables are essentially the things that you have control over, not what your opponent is doing, not what the referee is saying, not whether the ball makes a funny bounce, none of that. The controllable variables are what you do on court, off court, to rest, recover, how you focus in practice, what you choose to practice on, etc. Those are controllable variables. And what I would really encourage you to do is raise your awareness gradually by asking questions. So I've listed several questions you could ask yourself when it comes to your own squash. It's things like, am I consistently watching the ball? Am I staying light on my feet? Am I too crowded or close to the ball for the most part? Am I moving before my opponent hits the ball? Why am I not adjusting to their shots? By asking these sorts of questions and then thinking about this concept of root cause, understanding what's truly causing the spacing challenges, that will really allow you to develop your game. And then it comes down to consistently taking action. And like I said, setting intentions. And setting your intentions for your training goes back to the controllable part that I talked about earlier. If you go into a training session and you're like, okay, well, today we're going to do boast drive, then we're going to do some rotating drives, and then we're going to play games. Well, sure, that's great. Maybe if your intention is to just have fun, you could use those drills as warm-ups, and then you just go play games to have fun. That's awesome. If your goals are to improve your squash, then you need to set intentions for your training so you have a deliberate purpose behind your training, and then you take action. After the sessions, you can then reflect and review whether you actually achieved your objectives or intentions for the session, and it's just an iterative process from there on. And finally, if you find value in these videos and you are keen to raise your own squash game, reach out to me if you want a holistic, customized coaching program that's going to help you improve your game from the ground up, or just take your game from a high level to the next level. But there is a criteria, there is a but. Please email me if you are keen and committed to training. Please email me if you would like to work directly with me one-on-one. And please email me if you appreciate the quality and effectiveness of premium services. So if you're keen and you have a vision to improve, reach out to me at ahad@arproformance.com. As always, folks, I sincerely appreciate your support. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you know someone that would enjoy this video and benefit from it, I would really appreciate you sharing it. The more we share it, the more we can grow the channel, the more resources I can get to help me put these together, because it takes a ton of time. Take care and have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.